absolute stillness, I realize this is God's home, my home, the original home of all humanity. Here we all are equal. We all are at peace. We are united. And beyond this, it's all fake. I'm in absolute stillness. I'm in absolute stillness, and I'm connected to my inner core. Right? So now that you are connected to your inner core, I am sure you are at peace with yourself and not at all anxious about any other things. Well, open your eyes and let's begin with our lesson. Just a small insight I want all of you children. I want you all to take an insight into yourself. Do you wonder about the existence of this planet? That's the reason I was talking to you even in my meditation about going to our home and going to our real self, the very existence of ourselves on this earth. Have you ever wondered about it? Or have you ever wondered how did this planet come into existence? I'm sure when you were children, your teachers in your kindergarten and in your primary sections must have told you about how the earth came into existence. You must have heard some stories about all this. And it must have been really very, very, full of, you must have been full of wonder and profound wonder, wondering at how the earth was formed and all that. There's so many theories about the formation of the earth. But I'm not going to talk about the formation of the earth. I have something else in my mind with you all to discuss with. And another question I want you to ask yourselves, how many of you would like to explore the world? Don't ask me the destination, children. If you are a traveler or you love traveling, then any place would really excite you. Because, children, traveling is the best experience you can gain in your life and the best teacher in your life. It gives you so many experiences. And another question I want to ask you is, have you ever given a thought on the past, the present, and the future of this planet? If you want the answers to all these questions, then bon voyage. Sit with me and join me on a journey. And let's see what's that journey. Journey to the end of the earth. I'm going to take you, we are here in India, and I'm going to take you to Antarctica, the end of the world. Yes, a beautiful place, so pristine, so very pure, right? Because it is still untouched by human beings, right? Though we have been there for different reasons, but it is still untouched. It's not all that commercialized. So let's see how we are going to move on this journey, right? Remember, we are here, this is a planet, this is a country, we are here in India, and we are going to go deep down south, the South Pole, Antarctica. So get your seatbelts ready and move with me to our journey to Antarctica. Okay? Are you all ready? Come on. This is a journey by Tishani Doshi, which she covered to the end of the earth. Right? Why do we call it the end of the earth? Because it's the last point on the earth. Just imagine going to the end of the world and wondering what kind of this planet it is, right? Yes, it's going to be a different experience, children. Enjoy, sit with me and enjoy this experience. Well, first, let us know a little more about Tishani Doshi. Tishani Doshi was a great writer, She is a multifaceted personality. She has published 6 books of poetry and fiction. She was born in Madras, and she was born to a Welsh mother, and a Gujarati father. So she is a multifaceted personality when I say, because she has written poems, she's a dancer, she's a novelist, and she's a traveler. She also writes travelogues, right? So this particular, you'll find many of her stories have also been widely anthologized. And this particular excerpt, which we are reading, is her journey to the end of the earth. So Tishani Doshi describes the journey, her journey in this particular chapter, which we are going to read, to the coldest, it is the coldest place on the earth and the driest and the windiest continent in the world. And that is what? That is Antarctica. The world's geological history is trapped in Antarctica, children. And if you want to know about your past, about your present, and about your future, then you need to go to Antarctica. That is the place where you can have and get a grasp of the history, grasp of the geography, right? And this was an experiment which was taken over by Geoff Green. You have read about Geoff Green in your Ailing Planet in class 11th also. So this was a project which was taken over by Geoff Green. It's I'll talk more about in my next slides. And the project was named as Students on Ice, which aims at taking high school students to the end of the world. Now, why high school students and all that? We will discuss and elaborate on this later on. So Doshi thinks about that Antarctica is really a beautiful place and all of us should visit it. I will also share with you that how I told you she was a writer, she was a poet and a dancer. And how could she manage to go? Because when this program was started by a Canadian, Geoffrey is a Canadian, he wanted to take the school children, to this place, and so that they could learn about the earth they are living on and how human action is causing global warming and destroying the environment. Why did he want to take the children? We'll come to that a little later on. But he wanted to take the children, the young children, to show them the how what we are doing on these in these plains, on these plateaus of the different parts of the world, what we are doing, and what is its impact on Antarctica. And that is why he had undertaken this journey with very few students from all over the world. And Tishani Doshi joined this group with them, right? So how did she begin her journey? Her journey, began from Madras to the end of the world. And it was Madras is 13.09 degrees north of equator. And she had to cross 9 time zones. There are so many time zones, yes. So she had to move from different time zones because she was traveling from India to across the other part of the world to the end of the earth. So she had to cross 6 checkpoints, 3 bodies of water. Which was the 3 bodies of water she had to go through? The Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, which is referred as the South Ocean, Southern Ocean, right? And which is a 50-degree latitude. Now, Antarctica is twice the size of Australia. It's so huge. It is so huge. And when she landed there, it took her 100 hours to reach there. And they had to travel, her traveling comprised of she traveled by different vehicles, by car, by aeroplane, and then by a ship. And then when she reached Antarctica, she after 100 hours, traveling through different, commuting through different vehicles, her first emotion on facing the Antarctica was like, I just cannot describe you her wonder at the immensity, at the profundity of the place, and she says that it is the most beautiful, and it's the most beautiful place. It is so very immense. It's so very isolated, and she wondered the most which we are going to talk about is that she wondered how India and Antarctica, once upon a time, were a part of the same landmass. This is the reason she had gone there to find out how it was and what was it that made these things to separate now. So this is what we are going to read now. How did this happen? See, this was her journey from India to Antarctica. She started from here in Madras, right? And most of the Antarctic trips, children leave from actually South America. And they take a short sail or a flight to reach the Antarctic Peninsula and the islands. But because they had started from here, so they had to go through from New Zealand or Australia, and then they had to take a flight and then a ship, and then finally they reached here, right? This is how they had come to this particular part of the earth. Well, next. Now, let's see about what we are going to study about the previous location of India in relation to Antarctica. Now, children, what happens is when we are when we are studying something, when we want to know the reason of our existence, when we talk about the higher things, we need to go deep into the history. So 650 million years ago, first the earth was something like this, a giant multi-part southern supercontinent called as Gondwana. So this was one. So you can see Arabia, Africa, South America, Antarctica, Australia, and India. You can see we were all together, one part. Then what happened? What happened that we all separated? See, this is how we were. And if I talk to you in this respect and latitude and longitude, this is how India was, right? And this whole thing, this entire area was called as Gondwana. So how is it that we were able to move away from here and move up? How did this happen? Student, you'll find that to have a good grasp of where we have come from and where we could possibly be heading. When I use the word possibly be heading, I mean to say that the way things are today, with so much of environmental disturbances here, recently we watched how Bengal and Odisha were hit with the cyclones which are taking place, and the landslides and the avalanches which are taking place. All this is making us wonder that are we moving towards the end of the world? Are we moving towards the end of this earth? But before that, it is a possibility, but it's not going to happen too soon, children. It's going to take another number of years. But yes, let's first understand how did this happen. See, I'll move to my next slide now. How did this separation of Gondwana take place? See, the Gondwana, as I told you, was a landmass, and it started to disperse about 165 million years ago. And we need to understand the significance of the Cordilleran folds and Precambrian granite shields, the ozone, the carbon evolution, and the extinction. So when you think about all that which happened in a million years, it becomes so very mind-boggling how India was pushed from down below to up to the north. See how we were pushed from here, because of the different changes in the tectonic plates which took place, and India was pushing northwards, and it was jamming towards Asia to buckle its crust and form the Himalayas. Now, in my next slide, I'll show you. This is how we were jamming, and we were pushing ourselves, and we came and we jammed against this. And this is how the Himalayas were formed. Now, the South America, what happened to that? South America drifted off to join the North America, and it opened a Drake Passage. This passage was opened up to create a circumpolar current. And that is how Antarctica remains completely frigid. So there is no circumpolar current here reaching reaching Antarctica. That is the reason that it is so very cold there. It is so very frigid. We otherwise said to be in the frigid zone, right at the bottom of the world. Now, for Tishani Doshi, who was a South Indian and living in a in a place which is so hot, and she's never spent even a place never spent her time in Delhi also, where we have really we experienced the cold weather. She had always experienced the hot weather, and now suddenly being transferred to that particular place which has got 90% of the earth's total ice was something which was really difficult for her. But yes, she did survive, and she came up with a wonderful excerpt which we are reading today, right? So her metabolic functions, also changed. It's like it's when we change to different weather conditions, our metabolism also goes into a transformation. So what happened then? See, when these things happened, at that time the humans hadn't arrived in the global sea. Okay, so this happened long ago, and the climate at that time was much warmer. It was hosting a huge variety of flora and fauna. For 500 million years, children, the Gondwana thrived. But when the dinosaurs were wiped out and the age of mammals came underway, we human beings came underway, the landmass was forced to separate into countries, and it shaped into the kind of the globe which we are seeing today. And of course, when human beings reach the earth, what they have done, when we are here in this time clock, you will find we are only here for a few seconds. We have been, if we see the earth time clock, we are here only for we have been here, sorry, we have been here only for a few seconds, and the kind of ruckus which we have created, children, is immense. We have managed to create a huge ruckus. We have tried to dominate over nature, though you can see how the nature is responding now, right? So there has been a rapid increase of human population with the arrival of the mammals. We are battling with other species for limited resources, right? Unmitigated burning of fossil fuels has now created a blanket of carbon dioxide around the world, and the ozone layer, we find there is a hole in the ozone layer, which has a great impact on the marine life. We'll talk about it later on again. So there has been, because of this increase in the average global temperature, there have been a lot of repercussions, the kind of the changes in the environment which we are seeing is all because of, it's our fault, we are responsible for this. It wasn't so like this earlier. So what happened? What happened which caused all this? It is because of the arrival of the human beings on this earth, right? So this is what I was trying to show you. When the dinosaurs disappeared and the mammals got underway, the huge transformation took place on the earth. Well, children, we'll come to the next part of our lesson here, an excerpt which says that the Russian ship Academic Shokolarsky. Now the story becomes really interesting. Not a story, but rather it's an article written by Doshi. And what is this? First, I'll talk to you about this ship. This was the ship, children, which was named as Academic Shokolarsky. It was named after a Russian oceanographer. Who is an oceanographer? Who studies on the oceans, right? So it's a study of science, and we get to know about the marine life there, the minerals which are found there, and so many other things. So he was a Russian oceanographer, and the ship has been named after him. The ship was built in England in 1982, and the name of the Russian scientist was Newly Shokolarsky. So the ship has been named after him. Now, this program, Students on Ice, organizes, it's an organization, and it is a world famous award winning organization, children, which offers educational trips and experiences to children to Antarctica and Atlantic, right? And only now you'll wonder how and when. Yes, it's not that all the year round one can go there, only when the weather conditions are suitable there, because you'll find that it has 6 months day and 6 months night. Okay, so whenever the conditions are favorable, then the this trip is undertaken, this expedition is undertaken. And on this expedition, you'll find a lot of board activities are conducted for the children, which includes presentations, seminars, and they get to interact with the scientists, historians, geographers. They get to study about the flora and the fauna of the Antarctic, and so on and on. So it's such an extensive program, children, and children get an insight and a peep into the life of the various creatures on Antarctica. And they also have, they also conduct an ongoing research projects on and field work when they go there. So, it's really a different experience. And even if you are interested, children, you can also enroll yourselves to this. Search on the net and find out. And if you're really keen to go for such kind of a trip, you can always join them. Then I told you, but there are some prerequisites for that, which you have to update yourself and upgrade yourself. So during these forum sessions, the students examine complex environmental, geopolitical, and economical issues facing Antarctica, while simultaneously exploring solutions and policy alternatives to the challenges facing the Antarctic and the planet. Children, you'll find that Antarctica doesn't come under any particular political body. There's a treaty which we have signed, and all the countries of the world are working on this particular continent. They all have their stations put up there, and they are working to know more about Antarctica and our life in the past, present, and the future. Right. So I'm sure you must be really excited about this trip. And when I've told you that you can go and join there, it must be more exciting. Well, so this is Geoff Green, or with one of his the expedition leader, Geoff Green. Yes, and sorry, Geoff Green, and posing with one of his students, a student on ICE program, right? Why now? Who can travel there? As I told you, there are some prerequisites there. You just cannot go there. First of all, you have to either, if you are going on a scientific research station or basis, you are going there, or you can be a tourist. Now, children, you can't go and live there in Antarctica indefinitely in the way that other people, when you go to different other places in commercial industries and towns and cities. But you can go there only at a particular time, as I told you, when the weather is favorable, right? Okay. And this is one of the stations, you'll find in Antarctica. This is how the stations are made there. As I told you, it's the windiest, driest of the continents of the world. So the stations which have been made, these stations are for what? Different countries have put up their own substations over there where they are working, and scientists are working there. They find out, they work on different things, on the, as I told you, on the marine life, on the minerals which are found there, on the past history, and so on and on. Life, of course, is very difficult there, right? And you'll find in these stations, these stations which they have built, they have to be very eco-friendly, most important thing. And the number is not more than 25 or 30 in these stations. Now, what is India's contribution to this also, I will tell you. So let's come back to our topic here now. What is Students on ICE, and why is Students on ICE program a success? Now you'll wonder, children, why did Geoff Green take up this particular project, and what is the Students on ICE? As I told you, this program is an award-winning program which has been started by Geoff Green, and it's impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not be affected by it. Such a wonderful thing. You go there and you are really transformed. You see the glaciers retreating, you see the ice shelves collapsing, carving down. There are avalanches. You know what are avalanche? Avalanches when a huge glacier, when it melts and drops into the ocean, then it's called as an avalanche. And the sound is so very thundering, and it is really, too frightening. And this is what they often get to see, right? At times, if they happen to see this kind of course, carving and retreating is something which they see, but avalanche is not an everyday thing, right? So the threat of global warming is real. This is what they get to see. Sitting in the comfort of our drawing rooms and watching on TV that there is global warming and the environment is affected. So stop using plastic and stop using, save water and this and that. We get to know when we go there that the threat of global warming is real. When you see what is happening there to our glaciers, it offers a future generation a life-changing experience. So when Tishani Doshi went there, it was a life-changing. And the first thing which she came after she came back from there, what she said was, I'll share with you. So you know what, why this program is a great success? I have to elaborate on this again. It's, 1 minute. I'll just speak one more line over here. See, I wanted to draw your attention, children, here is that when I say the life-changing experience here, because, he felt that Geoff Green felt that if I take these young children on this particular trip, on this expedition, then it's going to be really a big change is going to come because these children are going to bring about a change. Right? How? See, when you go there, you develop and foster a new understanding and respect for our planet. You start understanding what a planet is and how and why we should respect our planet. And why he took these young people, young children and students, because this young generation, he was actually, tired of carting celebrities and retired rich curiosity seekers who travelers who had a lot of money, wanted to travel just and have an experience, because when they came back from Antarctica, they did not do anything much. They just saw and they sat back. They tried to make some policies and not execute them properly. So he thought of why not take these children. So see, children, that your role here is so very important. Even if you're not a part of that Student on Ice program, your role is so very important because tomorrow you are going to be the policy makers. You are going to be the decision makers. So if you have this life-changing experience at this young age, you are ready to absorb, you're ready to learn, and most importantly, you're going to act and bring about a change. This is the reason that he wanted to take the children on this journey. So you begin to realize, as I told you, that when we sit in our drawing rooms watching TV, we just hear it and we forget about it. But when we go there to Antarctica, we get to see that threat of global warming is very, very real, right? And then we start changing, we start transforming from within. This is what he wanted. And the children should transform from within. Okay. Coming to the next one. My next question to all of you is, why does one lose all earthly perspective on reaching Antarctica? Now, why, children, is it that once we land there, we completely forget about that, forget about the other part of the earth, because this immensity of the ice, 90% of the earth's total ice is located here. 90%. And it is so immense. It's so very vast. It's devoid of all human markers. You find no human markers. You must be wondering, Mal just now showed us the stations over there, the research stations over there. Yes, thing you'll find there. But human beings have not been able to possess that particular continent yet. There are no trees, there are no billboards, there are no buildings, right? And your visual scale ranges from those microscopic, creatures and huge icebergs. And those icebergs can be huge as big countries, children. There's a very strange, ubiquitous silence existing over there. No sound, nothing. So you lose complete perspective, of the earth when you reach Antarctica. Isn't it really wonderful, children? I mean, I would love to go there. I don't know whether I'll be able to go there or not, but I'll be physically also, because it's so cold. I don't know whether I'll be able to manage that or not. But yes, I would love to go there. And maybe if I challenge myself, I can. I would love to. I don't know how many of you are really keen to go there. Let's see. Well, now we'll study about Antarctica's ecosystem. It has a very, very simple ecosystem, not at all complicated. Because of its lack of biodiversity, children, you will find here it's a perfect place to study. The little changes which are taking place in the environment, can have huge and huge repercussions. Even a minute change of 1 degree change of temperature and the plains has a drastic effect there on Antarctica. You may think it's only 41 to 42, not much of a change. We can always handle it switching on our ACs, but that has a huge repercussion on Antarctica. So the scientists are saying that any further depletion of the ozone layer can affect the lives of the marine animals, birds, and the global carbon cycle. I will not elaborate on the carbon cycle and bore you with all that. You all have read about carbon cycle up to class 10. Everybody has read it, right? So you know how the carbon cycle works. Like it's a complete ecosystem and the different trophic levels and all that, how the carbon is circulated. Next. Now, this phytoplankton, as I was talking about, is a microscopic grass which is found at the seabed in Antarctica, and it has an immense and a very, very important role to play in the ecosystem. These grasses of the sea, they nourish and sustain the entire, I'm saying entire Southern Ocean's food chain. So if they disappear, you can understand the entire marine life there is going to disappear. And how will they disappear? Because they survive in a very low temperature. So if the temperatures rise, the phytoplanktons are going to die. And with that will be the death of the marine animals. So these are the phytoplanktons. These are single-celled plants, children, and they use the sun's energy to assimilate carbon and synthesize organic compounds. And as I told you, we have a wonderful ecosystem there, carbon cycle. So these, the kind of the most important of the process, which is called as photosynthesis, through this photosynthesis, they manufacture food, which is further eaten by other marine animals, and that is how they are able to survive. So this is what I was talking about, the carbon cycle. So scientists have warned us that any depletion of this, is going to have a big repercussion. And I showed you this is another variety of phytoplanktons, a smaller view of it. You can see they are tiny, free-floating plants, and in spring and early summer, their numbers increase rapidly, producing blooms like a thick pea soup, which can cover thousands of square kilometers of the ocean to feed all the marine animals. See, children, I mean, the world is so very beautiful, and everything is so very beautifully connected to each other. I mean, you just wonder that there is some super hand, which is working on this. I mean, this cannot be man-made, definitely. This is something which has been created by God. So the existence of God cannot be forgotten, when you see everything is in place and so beautifully placed, isn't it? And these are some of the animals which you find at the fauna of the Antarctica. The crab-eater seals you'll find there lazing around in the sun there, right? Midge, I told you, microscopic, very small creatures, mite. These are the things, animals which we find there, the creatures found there. Now, when I told about the microscopic animals, when I talked about, and I talked about as big the size of the icebergs, what message does it convey? What message does it convey? Just see. The poet's daughter says here, take care of the small things and the big things will fall into place. If we take care of our phytoplanktons, the whole of the Antarctica will remain alive and our marine animals will survive. So we have to just take care of that we do not produce too much of carbon into the air, and we do not disturb the carbon dioxide levels up in the air. We do not create another hole in the ozone layer so that the life of the phytoplanktons is not disturbed. So if we take care of the small things, and big things will fall into place. What is the big thing? The big thing here we're talking about is a entire ecosystem there. It's a very simple thing, children, when your parents and we you, children, sit in a proper posture. When you're studying, sit properly and be disciplined, be punctual, All these things are small, petty things, children. You may feel, what has this got to do with my performance, with my result? This really matters, children. We need to take care of these small, petty things. If you are disciplined, if you are taking care of small things, these small things in your life, you'll find success will follow you and everything will fall into place. So this is a bigger message which we can learn from here, right? The bigger message, these small phytoplanktons are giving us, in this parable of, in the story of the phytoplankton, there's a big metaphor which is conveyed here of our very existence, that we need to take care of the small things and the big things will fall into place. So I'm sure, children, you will understand how important it is to take care of the small things in our daily lives. And then definitely in every area, you'll find yourself improving. You'll find yourself doing wonders. So when we tell you something, when your parents tell you something, it's all because they have got a bigger experience, they have got a greater experience, they have lived life all the more, so they know how these small things are so very, very important, and these things are going to give you bigger things in life, right? Okay, now we'll come to the very important and very small story of the a true story which took place with them, and she wanted to share with us a small epiphany. Epiphany is a small story, and the lesson which she learned here. It is a walk on the ocean. So this was a ship, right? The academic Shukulaski which they were traveling, and when they were returning back, there were many epiphanies, but this she found to be more interesting and which touched her really very much. She has told us about this. She said that when we were coming to we were short of the Antarctic Circle around, we were around 65.5 degrees south. We were trying to wedge ourselves into a thick, wide stretch of ice somewhere between the peninsula of the Tadpole Island. Tadpole Island is a small island close to Antarctica. So when we were there, it was preventing us from taking a turn. So the captain decided that we all would get down. He asked, all the passengers, who were the passengers? There were only 52 of them, 52 students. All of them, he asked them to get down, and he said, we are going to turn around and head back north because it was a very tight place. So he asked all of them to get down. But before, they did get down, climb down from this, they were supposed to climb down the gangplank. You know, what is this gangplank? It's a small, this gangplank, this is the one. This was a small, narrow piece of wood which helped them to move across. And they had to walk on the ocean so that they could take a turn. So they had to walk on this gangplank, she says here, children, this, and they had to walk on this part. This was an ocean. Yes. And there were all 52 of these children, they got down from the ship, and on the entire stark whiteness of the ocean, spread all over there. And underneath them on the ocean was there deep down. And this is called as a Gore-Tex. I wanted to clarify this one. This is called as a Gore-Tex, and they wear glares because of the white expanse over there. There's so much of light there, so they had to wear the glares. And this dress, this the jacket which they are wearing is called as Gore-Tex because it's a very fine material, made up of a very fine material which keeps them really warm and very light. This is a specialty. So all of them dressed in Gore-Tex and glares. They got down, and you'll be surprised, children. They say that underneath their foot was a meter thick ice pack, and underneath that 180 meters of living, breathing salt water and marine life. So if at all the ice would carve down, they would go deep down. So this was something which was really a very, very different experience which they had. And they saw, these seals lying and stretching and sunning out themselves, and they were a part of that out on the ocean with the seals. Though it was frozen there, but deep down, it was 180 meters deep down. It was all waters. So that feeling of being on the ocean, on the deep ocean, on a gangplank, was something which was really very, very different. But yes, it did reveal to them that everything does indeed connect. that how, life is so very different for us here and life there is so very different. So this was one of her best experiences which she shared with us, to be on the ocean on a small gangplank, right? Okay. I don't know why Samat Walia wants to show his fan all the time. Why can't you switch it off, dear? Well, now I want you to understand what has been India's role in this, children. India's Indian Antarctic program, India first landed on the ice continent on January 9th in 1982. And it was initiated, first it was initiated in 1981, and 21 members had gone there under the leadership of Dr. S.Z. Kasim, who was the Secretary of the Department of Environment. So we came up first, we have to sign, as I told you, the Antarctic Treaty 1959, where we can set up stations there, research stations we can set up there, but we have to take care of the environment and not disturb the environment in any way. So this Dakshin Gangotri was the first service station which we came up with, which is around 2,500 kilometers from the South Pole. And in 1983-84, it was built. Second one was this Maitri, which we came up with in 1985, another big achievement for India. And this is actually exploring on the geology, geography, and the minerals they found there. And there are 25 persons who are there in on this service station, on this research station. And this we came up in 2015, Bharti, right, with 47 personal children. And the most the interesting thing about this station is that it's constructed with 134 recycled shipping containers. So it can be, recycled, and it can be, completely dismantled without leaving any kind of a debris there, right? This is the most important thing, right? Next. I have a small video for all of you. I want you to enjoy this, and then we will have a few on this. This you can find on the YouTube as well. Western Antarctica.
About what is sea level going to look like in 10 years, whether you're building a dike around your town or anticipating how far inland to move coastal cities in Florida. This glacier is a big piece of that question. And this is the location to be asking these questions at. We're standing right on it.
Moment, the first time anyone has tried to drill down through this glacier. Beneath the 600 meters of ice below me is the most important point of all, the point at which the ice meets the ocean water. This is IceFin. It's a NASA-funded robot submarine. This is the first time any measurements have been taken beneath what they call the Doomsday Glacier. It's the first time anyone has seen this. This is the point where the ice meets the warmer ocean water. It's the place where this huge glacier is rapidly melting.
So this glacier is significant because it is huge, and it's deep, it's thick. There's a giant volume of ice here.
Children, I want you all now to watch this. I will put this link on my study material, and you can watch this yourself. And I have a few questions based on this. So I've just given you a glimpse of this. You watch it, I'll give you the link. But I want you to answer this for yourself. The climate change is one of the most hotly contested environmental debates of our time. Will the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? Please note down these questions, children. Will the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Or will it be the end of the world as we know it? You will find your answers in my next video. And I will put this, and you have to write down the answers to this. So the lessons which were learned from the bottom of the world by Doshi and by so many other 52 students was that declutter, declutter, and declutter, children. Do not clutter the earth with unnecessary things. This is the underlying theme of the entire lesson. We need to keep our planet as pristine, as beautiful as the Antarctica. So I want, and I've discussed all the short questions with you. I want you all to read these questions which are given at the back, and the answers I've already discussed with you, right? You are going to write down these answers in your notebooks. Your answers are very, very clear about, I mean, you will get very clear-cut answers. I'm sure you have understood the entire lesson completely and enjoyed the session. There's one more exciting thing coming up for you. This is another link which I have for you. I want you to read this thoroughly with all the, read this and enjoy this and answer the questions which I have. You won't find the answers in a textbook. You will find the answers in the video, right? So children, your notebook work will be long questions. And in the next class, I'll be taking up third level from Vistas for you. Another very interesting science fiction for all of you. I'm sure you enjoyed the lesson and you'll look forward for the links to be shared with you so that you can enjoy the videos. Thank you so much, children, for being such patient learners and listeners both.